was 2009, and the very first dispensaries were really starting to open, and I was like, I got to get in on this.
This week, MSNBC calls him Colorado's pot baron. Starbuds founder and legit car guy Brian Ruden joins us to talk the business of cannabis, what the next big thing is or isn't, and most importantly, what's in his amazing, amazing garage. F40, Carrera GT, Ferrari Dino, 73 RS, you name it, he's got it, and we talk about it. Happy 4th of July, friends. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. It's That Car Show. Hey, it's That Car Show. Dan is away tonight doing big car things. And so it's just me and Lindsay. And
Hi.
Lindsay is fresh off her own long-haul U-Haul drive, this time from Albuquerque, where she went to pick up a new fiance, to Seattle, which ain't nothing.
That's the only place to pick them up.
How many miles is that?
It is
ABQ?
1,426.
So you beat me and Dan, right? I think that was closer to 1,000, right? From
Right.
Seattle to
Well,
LA. So.
At least with our track record so far, that's a short road trip. For
Yeah.
you and I.
Oh, yeah. Brian, I don't know if we'll introduce you here in just a second, but Lindsay and her fiance just drove a GT4 back from Kansas City.
Kansas City, Missouri.
To
so it
Seattle.
was
But
2,000 miles. Yeah.
Yeah, in the hard back bucket seats.
In the carbon buckets.
Yeah. But we've got a good pal, Brian Ruden, on the show tonight. If you've listened to the show for any length of time, you know the name Brian Ruden because he is, of course, my poster car patron saint, my own mid-engine Medici, one hell of a nice guy, and one of the biggest names in cannabis. Bet you didn't see that coming and beat that, Matt Farah. This is going to be about cars, but it's also going to be about how those cars were acquired. As I said in my Autoblog article about Brian's F355, thank God for the Tokers because they pay the bills. And Brian, of course, is the founder of Starbuds, which I think now has locations in 6 states, including Colorado, New York, and Illinois. Brian's garage is a Radwood fever dream and then some, with an extensive collection of cars that includes an F40, a Carrera GT, a Diablo, a Dino, a 73 Porsche Carrera RS, and much more. And Brian will join us this year for his first ever Colorado Grand in a very special Porsche 356 Speedster, which I hope we'll hear about. So welcome, Brian. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Nice to meet you, Lindsay.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. I'm so excited to learn all about everything.
My pleasure.
This is why you should watch the video podcast on Spotify or YouTube, because Brian is in front of his collection, just on the other side of the glass, and it is awesome and hell of a backdrop for sure.
Thank you.
It beats my lawnmower back here.
It's the definition of aspirational and motivational for sure.
Absolutely. So Brian, when I was getting my notes together tonight, I Googled some information about you, and I found an old MSNBC video with you in it from about 10 years ago. Does that sound familiar?
Oh yeah.
So young.
It was a reality show called Pot Barons of Colorado. And I forget how many episodes we did, but they followed us through the first year of recreational cannabis in the Colorado market.
Okay. I must have just seen the intro or something, but even in that 10 minutes, you basically predicted what has come true 10 years later. So, well done. But that's 10 years ago was really when, I guess that's about when I moved to Colorado. And that's really when I started hearing about things and you got to get into cannabis and this and that. But obviously things have changed very much in that 10 years. You seem to have known what you're doing. I think your timing was good, right? You had a business sense, but can you tell us about that journey and you know, what brought you to Colorado, what got you started in all this? And I guess where cars came into it too. Yeah. That's a lot.
Sure. So, all right. And feel free to interrupt if you want to go down any of these tangents.
Oh, we will. Don't worry.
Okay. So, I have loved cars ever since I was a little kid, ever since I could remember. And neither of my parents are into cars. In fact, my father is an anti-car person. He thinks a car should get you to point A to point B and as cheaply as possible. And so we didn't have cool cars when I was a kid in the family, but I had an uncle who was a car enthusiast, and he would take me to car shows, and he would take me to the Englishtown Raceway where they had the NHRA drag racing, and we saw the top fuel cars together and the funny cars. And and so I got exposed to cars through him. But even as a a young kid, I had the poster cars on my wall. When I was a kid, I dreamed about having a Corvette one day because that's as far as I could realistically think. Maybe one day I could
Right.
have a Corvette. But I had a Lamborghini Countach poster and
That was
Ferrari
standard, right?
posters, and yeah. Um, so the love of cars goes back ever since I was little.
Like as
And
far as you can
then
remember, that was something that caught your attention.
absolutely, yeah,
So as a
absolutely.
kid, what was it about cars that grabbed you?
I'm not sure. The idea of going fast seemed exciting. I just like, I don't know, I just like going fast.
Oh, and
At
so
least that's
were you aware that it was an interest of yours? Because I know a lot of car enthusiasts where they go, wow, when I look back, like it was present even when I was a kid, but I didn't necessarily identify it as like, that's my thing.
no, I identified it as a thing, and that was one of the things that I spent a lot of time thinking about and reading about. And even now, I still have all the old magazines that I used to read, and I would read them over and over and you just wear them out. Because that's how you found out about cars was
Right.
magazines. And, there were certain authors that were great. And then, 0 to 60 times seemed so important back then. And they were always
It's
getting a little
everything.
faster. I
Yeah.
remember, anything that was like 6.5 seconds was like, oh my God, that's a fast car.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
Um,
rocket ship.
Yeah. 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 And it sounds like you grew up with pretty pedestrian stuff. Like, so what did your parents have when you were they the Chrysler minivans and that kind of stuff, station wagons or
no, my dad had a Suburban.
okay.
And then we had a Chevy Caprice, and then later a Mazda 626.
Pretty
So those
middle
are
America.
actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah,
at least in Southern California, like, so what era Suburban did you have?
I don't remember. I was such a little kid back
Yeah.
then.
Because
Um,
there was one that was like very desired and hip as like a surf wagon,
Uh,
beach truck, like
I
family haul, but
don't. I
it
I
was like
doubt it.
it was like
I
the
it
hip
doubt it.
wasn't.
alternative.
My and what's funny is my mom actually liked cars a little bit,
Uh,
and so she often would have the sportier car in the family. Um, and at one time she had a Honda Prelude, which was actually a pretty cool car.
yeah,
So
that's a
did you get
segment
to
that
drive
doesn't
that?
exist anymore, really. Right?
Right.
Cars like the Prelude, they were great, right? And just they're not around, right? Everyone's got a
Yeah,
car
and it,
now.
it was a stick shift, and um,
Nice.
yeah, when I was old enough, I would drive it.
Yes.
Well, your
But you
mom
Yeah.
grew
sounds
up
like
in
a
New
very cool
York,
chick.
right? Yeah. So you
Uh,
weren't in Southern California or
no, no. Yeah, I grew up in New York. I went to high school in New Jersey, and that's really where I was as a young adult. And the big deal in New Jersey was when you got your license, you could skip school and you could drive down to the shore, or on the weekends you go down to the Jersey Shore.
nice, nice.
So having any car was a big deal. And then if you had a cool car, oh my God, that was
Yeah.
just like the dream going to the beach in anything cool.
Yeah.
So for two kids who didn't grow up anywhere near the Jersey Shore, is the Jersey Shore all we grew up thinking the Jersey Shore was? Because I think we all have our own idea of
Is it everything MTV told us it is and more?
yeah. No way it could be that amazing. No, it's
Um,
Well,
well, that was one perspective of it.
yeah, I'm kidding.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, like
Um,
what was a normal Jersey Shore experience like?
a normal Jersey Shore experience was going down to the beach, walking down the boardwalk, eating the street food, playing the games,
Yeah.
but mostly just something to do with your friends.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and it was the first feeling of freedom and independence from your parents because that was the place to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if you had a girlfriend or someone, you can, make out at the beach.
Yeah.
You could hang out without, yeah, your parental
Yeah.
eyes on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a pretty good upbringing then. I mean, you weren't stuck in Nebraska or something. I mean, you got to see a lot.
I did. Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was great. It was great.
So you went to high school out east. You went to college out east. Went to
I
law
did.
school.
I did. Yeah. So graduated, went to UMass Amherst, which was a lot more rural than where I grew up in New Jersey, and it was great. And I really fell in love with the mountains and hiking, and we had access to skiing. And so I learned how to ski, and I became a skier.
Which is perfect for Colorado, actually.
Well, so what really brought me to Colorado was skiing.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So your
So
family, that was not a family activity growing up. Like that was something you found in college.
no, that's right. So I graduated, and then I made my way up to Vermont, where I worked in the ski industry. That's how big a passion skiing was for
Wow.
me. And then after a few years of that, I realized, I got to do something more with my life, or I'll just be a ski bum, which isn't the worst thing, but I
Right.
had aspirations to do better in life, and so
Yeah, if we
I
just look
went to
over
law
your left
school.
shoulder or your right shoulder, we can see
Right.
the
No, it
little
doesn't
boy
happen by
skiing.
accident.
Right.
Yeah, I've had plans ever since I was a kid to figure out how to be successful.
That's
Um,
awesome. So you went to law
but
school.
I went to law school my first year in Rhode Island, partly because that's the school I got into, and it was local to where I was, Roger Williams University. And I worked my ass off. And after the first year, was very lucky in that I had the ability then to transfer almost any law school in the country. And I chose to transfer to Denver because Denver, I theorized, has skiing and is a real enough city that I can make a living there versus, moving back to Vermont. And yeah, there's skiing, but what are you gonna do? Now you just got a law degree, you're six figures in debt.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And you're in
So,
Vermont as an attorney.
right,
Yeah.
right. And of course, I fell in love with Colorado. It is amazing here. And yeah, and then I graduated law school and I started working as an attorney. And I did that for a few years.
You specialize in anything, or was it?
I eventually specialized in tax resolution, and I
Okay.
worked for a firm in Broomfield, Colorado called Omni Financial.
Okay.
And this actually, without realizing it, became a big part of my later success because in tax resolution, you meet business owners from all over the country of all different size businesses, and you're getting a deep dive into their financials because the way you settle tax debt has to do with the taxpayer's ability to pay, not with how much they owe or this or that. It's what can this person do or this business do, and so you really had to analyze that. And talking to all these business owners gave me the confidence to go out on my own because if these guys could do it, I could do it. And I saw everything in the world not to do because these were all failing businesses in trouble. And some of them had done really well. The only way you accrue a $1 million or multi-million dollar tax liability or hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax liabilities, you had to do something right first
Yeah.
before it all
Right.
went wrong.
Exactly.
point.
So I had that experience, which was good. Another job experience I had in my past was I sold vacuum cleaners in people's homes.
Like door to
And
door?
yes. And so what that taught me was how to close and how to sell, because
Yeah.
that was a pretty cutthroat, very difficult business. It
Would they come in
was,
and like throw something on your carpet, and then you better
oh
hope
yeah,
they could clean it up? Yeah.
yep, no, I did that to people.
So was this during college? Like at which point in your life
Um,
were you doing this?
yeah, just as soon as I graduated college, that was my
Mm.
first gig out of
No kidding.
college.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
While I was in college, I had a somewhat job related. Um, oh, there's a funny story. I'll tell you in a second. But I had a car related job. I worked for Enterprise Rent a Car.
Oh my gosh.
And so what was cool about that was, they'll pick you up. So you get to drive all the cars and pick people up. And I just love driving and being in cars. Well, I remember one time they had gotten these Chevy something SS's. They were front wheel drive, but they had big V8s, V8s in them. And I had just filled it up with gas, and I did a burnout leaving. My boss saw me, and I got in trouble.
And that was the end of that role.
No, that was just one little thing.
Those cars are amazing.
Yeah,
That's
there's
really
the Monte
cool.
Carlos, like the
Monte
Earnhardt
Carlo.
edition.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't a straight SS.
An SS. It was like a Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Oh, the SS version. Okay.
Right.
De Niro,
like
I think,
the
just
Holden SS.
reviewed one. Yeah.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Huh.
So,
and so let me interrupt. I have my garage door open. It's the night before 4th of July when we're recording this, so it sounds like I'm in a war zone, but it's just patriotism. So anyway, sorry, back to the show.
Just hashtag America.
So, all right. So anyway, I'm practicing law. I'm looking at all of these businesses across the country, and I'm intimately involved with the owners of the business and their financials and negotiating deals on their behalf. And so this whole time, I'm trying to figure out how to have my own business. And I didn't know if I should get into real estate. And I knew people that were fixing and flipping houses was a popular thing at that time. It wasn't really my passion, but I was trying to figure out something to do. I was thinking about maybe I should learn everything there is about running a law practice and just go out on my own and start one of those.
Yeah.
But then Colorado did something really interesting in that it adopted a medical marijuana program, not the first in the country, but one of the first in the country.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who was one of the very first medical marijuana patients, and she was legally allowed to grow cannabis, use it, possess it, things like that. And I saw her grow, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And what we didn't talk about was in college, I discovered marijuana, and I really enjoyed it.
It happens.
Pot and skiing.
Yeah.
Those are two.
Yeah, they were passions. So I was a marijuana connoisseur anyway. And then, so I was intrigued by this medical marijuana program. And then some rules changed. I forget exactly what it was, but it was 2009. And the very first dispensaries were really starting to open. And I was like, I got to get in on this. And so while I was working full time, I became, at the time, what was known as a caregiver. And a caregiver was somebody who was licensed to either grow and supply pot for medical patients. And there were limitations. I forget all the rules, but so I started growing pot in my home as a licensed caregiver. And the patients, whatever surplus you had, you could then go to the dispensaries and you can sell to the existing dispensaries.
Right.
And this was a big thing back in like 08, 09. And they were the backpack days. So Colorado and Denver, if you don't know Denver, there's an area on Broadway called the Green Mile. And it's where all these dispensaries opened up first. And people would walk down Broadway with backpacks full of weed, walking in and out of dispensaries, trying to sell them what they grew. And they would, sometimes they'd buy it from you or take it on consignment, and then they would sell it to their patients. And then that's how I got my start. And then that led to me getting into my own dispensary and my own commercial grow, and getting it out of my basement and into a warehouse. And at that point, I had to leave the practice of law, and I had to tell my parents that I am not going to practice law anymore, which was a pretty crazy conversation back then because, it was a whole new thing, and, and it was legal, but there was a lot of gray area around it.
Right. It was very murky and confusing. I remember hearing even everybody that was trying to follow the rules trying to decipher what the rules actually said was really tricky.
It
was
was
all
hugely
cash, right?
okay. So a few things. So
Yeah.
first, yes, it was so tricky. The rules were crazy.
Yeah.
And so when I went to an attorney to figure out how to get the business license, they were reading the rules and we're trying to figure it out. I was like, wait a minute. I'm a lawyer. You don't know. I can figure this out. I don't need you.
Yeah.
And so I became my own attorney and my own expert in all things cannabis, all the rules and regulations. And for years, I did all the paperwork and everything like that. And yes, it was all cash for many years. And
Right.
that was a whole nother crazy thing because you had to figure out how to have a business without banking. And so
Right.
um,
That was a huge part of it.
every bill that you could pay in cash, you would. So you would pay your net payroll in cash. So the taxes had to get paid separately, but what the employees would get, we'd pay them in cash. I was running around town getting money orders constantly so that I could pay bills that you couldn't use cash for. We'd pay our sales tax in cash. And it was not uncommon once we were recreational and the business really took off in 2014. It was not uncommon to be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales tax in cash.
Wow.
And some of the other dispensaries would use armored cars or this and that, but I didn't do that. I just went with a duffel bag and
Did you use
Did
the
you show up at the
backpack?
tax office?
yeah, in Lakewood on Pierce Street,
Real, no kidding.
the same place where they have the DMV. They
Ah,
have
yeah.
it's the Department of Revenue, and so
There you go. Yeah.
you can pay sales tax in cash there.
Huh.
I love the idea of just walking in and like just dropping your duffel bag full of cash on the counter, and you're like, "Here you go."
It wasn't that fun because what would happen is they would have to count it, and if it was off by any amount, then they would want to recount it, and so that
boy.
it just took forever.
Yeah. You're like, I got to block out 2 weeks to go pay my sales tax,
But it was a half a day of your
which is a
to
long,
get that done.
especially that adds up.
Yeah.
It adds up. Luckily, that didn't last forever. We eventually got banked, and things became easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember hearing stories of people that were trying to figure out how to start banks, like either people that were growing and dispensing themselves and they were trying to figure out how to solve the problem for themselves and others, or people that saw a business opportunity of going like, hey, what if I start a bank that just serves the cannabis industry, because it's like they're dying in that respect, like they need something.
Yeah, no, and that thought crossed my mind back in the day, and a lot of other people. But it turns out banking's highly regulated and quite a difficult business to get into as well.
Right.
But anyway, in the very beginning of cannabis, it was fairly easy to make money because it was new and there was huge demand, and the market, again, it was just new. There wasn't as much competition. But
Right.
as time went on, it became a more and more sophisticated business, a more and more competitive business, and things like having really good locations, having good brands, having very efficient operations became critical, not just to make money, but to even survive. And I think because I had the legal background, and I think because I had seen so many businesses, I had such financial discipline to run a really efficient, tight ship, even when times were good, not wasting money and putting it to the bottom line, and then just doing things really well, led to building a fairly large company that not only survived but thrived even in the hyper competitive landscape that we have today.
And so I know Ryan mentioned like you're now in multiple states. So can you talk about what that was like to, expand outside of Colorado and like what your business looks like today?
So I did a reality show called Pot Barons of Colorado, which
is
was
such
on
a great name.
MSNBC. And that
I
sort of
love it so much.
gave my partners and I national notoriety, the Starbuds brand national notoriety. And then that led to some other things where I did another reality show type thing called the Marijuana Show.
Huh.
And what that was is it was just like Shark Tank, but for cannabis businesses. And I was one of the sharks, and there were four of us who would hear pitches and react and either invest or not invest. Well, through that experience, I met some folks out of the state of Maryland, and we wound up partnering with them and opened the first out-of-state Starbuds in Baltimore. And it was wildly successful. It's still wildly successful. In fact, we're opening more stores in Maryland right now. But
That's
that
awesome.
gave me the confidence to know that, the playbook that works in Colorado does work in other states. So the way that we deliver customer service, the way we set stores up, the way we do our inventory control, our accounting, our security, all of these things, our merchandising, all these things that worked in Colorado work really good in Maryland. And we were pretty much the number one store in Maryland for years, and we still might be. I don't know. Certainly, if you look at the EBITDA, it probably is. But that gave me the confidence that we could replicate this. And so we started bringing it to more and more markets, more states.
Can we talk about your brand real quick? Because I think you said something very important. And, you're all selling the same stuff effectively, right? So there's the importance of the brand and customer service and the relationship and the trust and all that. But brand is key. And I think so much of your success is because of your brand. Who came up with the name Starbuds, and how have you gotten away with it for so long?
So my business partner, his cousin was the store operator of a store that he was running. And he and I got together to open a new dispensary. So I had a dispensary called the Tree of Wellness, and he had a dispensary called City Med. And we joined forces to open a new dispensary in Denver, and we were trying to think of names. And his cousin Mo blurted out, "What if we called it Starbuds?" And immediately I was like, "I love it." And my business partner said, "No way, we're going to get sued by Starbucks coffee, and it's not going to work. We just can't do it." And I said, "Well, who cares? Think of the publicity. So what? We'll change the name. But in the meantime, think of the publicity." Because at that time, advertising was completely restricted. You couldn't advertise. You couldn't have billboards. So, how do you get the word out? Well, one of the ways was the news media. And so when there were stories, I always volunteered, because it's like, hey, we get the Starbuds name in front of the camera.
Right.
And in 2014, this was a big story. This was a big deal that there was legal cannabis, because Colorado was the first state to have recreational. So anyway, my partner capitulated, and he said, "All right, you're the lawyer. Fine, let's roll. Let's do it." And so that's how Starbuds was born. And over the years, we've had to modify the logo and the way that we express Starbuds so as to not create any confusion in the marketplace with Starbucks coffee.
Got it. I love the marketing plan. You're like, how we're going to get some free advertising.
It's genius. Yeah. Do people actually confuse the two? Let's get real here,
No,
Brian.
of course not. No, of course not. Of course not.
And now, do you operate in Washington?
I do not operate in Washington, but there is a Starbuds dispensary in Washington, and I am friendly with the owner of that business.
Okay.
And because marijuana is not federally legal, you cannot get a federal trademark. And so it's state by state. And so there are Starbuds in other states that I don't own or control, but I do either own or license the name to most of them. And any that have my logo, they're doing it through
Their license.
a business arrangement. Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so interesting. That I mean, and that's another one of those like weird quirks, I think, because I think that's I remember hearing that at the time was the conflict was a lot of the state versus federal regulations and figuring out like where is the area that we're actually okay.
But you leverage
Yeah,
that.
it's true.
Yeah, it's you work to your advantage, and
Clearly.
yeah.
I know. That's amazing. I love that
So many
story.
of us aren't risk takers, right? But I think what I hear again and again, or what's finally like, hitting me is that you've got to take risks, right? You've got to, right?
So I heard something that Jeff Bezos said really
Yeah.
recently, and
Were
I
either
don't
of you
think
at the wedding, by the way?
no,
I am
no.
fresh back from Venice. When I said
That
road trip,
that
I
was a
meant
blowout, wasn't it?
by way of Venice.
But
Anyways,
here's what he said, and
yeah.
for most people this is true, and I think this is one of the things that I think for me is not true. But he said it's human nature to overestimate the risk of things, and it's also human nature to underestimate the potential upside. And so a lot of people don't take those risks because they think the risk is bigger than it really is, and they don't realize
Yeah.
what the upside of something could be. And we talked about that I enjoy going fast, and I ski really fast. And I go to the track, and I like to drive fast, and um, I just am very comfortable with risk. And when I left the practice of law, I didn't feel like it was that risky, even though everyone else thought it was, because I was like, well, I'll always be a lawyer. I could go back to that at any time.
Mhm.
Right.
But this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I was too young when the internet really started to take off and become a thing to take advantage of it. And I was like, man, I was looking back. I wish like I was of the age to jump in and be one of the web entrepreneurs. But
Mm,
I was in college when the web started going.
yeah.
And I always told myself if anything like that ever happens again in my life, I am just doing it. And cannabis, I recognized was going to be a big thing.
Mm,
And I was like, this is the new thing. This is it. This is like my generation's internet, and
Right.
I'm getting in.
yeah. Okay,
And
so
then
that
I
begs
figured I could always go back to working at a law firm.
sure.
Right. Well, and I love the
If it,
idea that you like it was risky on paper and sort of on the surface to leave the practice of law, but really you had been inadvertently doing your research in your work with all these companies and you recognized an amazing opportunity and you're like, I'm too young to not say yes to this. I love that.
for me, yeah, it was very, very lucky that I was in the right place at the right time. I was in
Right.
Colorado specifically, which was the first state.
Yeah.
I was of the right age where I wasn't married, I didn't have kids. I
Right.
could take risks. Um, I was young enough to have the energy to do it,
Yeah.
yet old enough to have the wherewithal to actually do something about it. But I was all in. I mean, every
Yeah.
penny I had saved in my life went into the business.
Mm,
Um, and then when I finally actually made any money in the business, I reinvested. I've been all in multiple
mm, mm.
times
Yeah.
as the business would expand and we get new stores or this and that. And so um, that felt a little bit risky, but I didn't care because, I don't know. I just knew I couldn't. I I was going to do whatever it took to not fail,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter
I love
what.
it.
I
Yeah.
was just going to make it happen,
You're a
whatever it took.
gambler, right? You're a gambler. You've gone on record saying you're a gambler.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 But like
Well,
in a good way.
in the very beginning, we gambled our freedom because federal marijuana
Yeah.
laws were very strict. It still are to this day.
Yeah.
And so we didn't know if we'd go to jail or not for
Right.
doing this business.
Pardon my language, but what's the heart on the feds have for cannabis?
Oh, that's such a long story.
Like how much
Um,
time do we
Yeah.
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 I mean, if you think about this just real quick, there's a lot of industries that are threatened by cannabis.
Mm,
So the first one was the paper industry, and they're also logging because hemp
mm,
paper,
mm.
and then all the industrial uses, and then pharmaceutical companies feel threatened because this is a plant medicine that can replace and does replace lots of other
Yeah.
drugs that they have patents for that they sell
Yeah.
for zillions of dollars.
And
Um,
they've invested in developing, and that's
Tobacco
a lot of
industry,
money.
alcohol
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
You know, when in states where cannabis is legal and available, alcohol sales plummet because
Huh.
it's another alternative.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's the
Yeah.
federal tie-in because you have the alcohol industry lobbying
Right.
the government.
Right, and then the private prisons and law enforcement for
Uh,
profit is all tied
yeah.
in as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what's easier than throwing someone in jail for possession of marijuana? You pull somebody over, you search their car, you find marijuana. Now all of a sudden you can
Yeah.
charge them criminally.
It's
There's so
surreal. It's
many
wild.
reasons.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
reasons why the feds have
Mm,
a hard on for marijuana,
yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
all bullshit, and it's
Yeah.
all terrible.
Well, it's
Yeah.
But
fascinating because you don't like I think the average person doesn't think about all of the different aspects of life that are impacted by this. Like, the private prisons, like that doesn't pop into my head.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's fascinating to consider.
Lindsay, I'm going to bring in something from the past, but it just seems to suit the moment.
And now you know.
Brian, you don't.
So
That's an old
perfect.
steering committee thing, but yeah, that's yeah. I got to bring that back.
I love the commitment to the callback. That was a hell of a callback.
That's an ancient one.
That is for the people that have been playing their bingo cards with us for a long time. That's for the diehard fans.
That's right. So, all right. So, inquiring minds want to know what's the next big thing? Is it mushrooms? Is it microdosing? You tell us. I want an F40. I want a Carrera GT. What are we doing?
What's the
I
move?
I don't have a crystal ball. I have quite a few friends that are involved in the psychedelic space,
Okay.
and I don't see the business opportunity at scale. And the reason is, if you take mushrooms, people often use it in one of two ways. They'll take a large enough dose to have a genuine trip, and they'll only do that once in a while, maybe a couple of times a year at most. The other way people use mushrooms is they'll microdose. And so they're taking these tiny amounts, very tiny, like a tenth of a gram
Right.
every day or less. And so mushrooms, unlike cannabis, are far easier to grow, and you're hardly using any of it. And so compared to pot, mushrooms are basically free. The substance itself doesn't cost much. Where people are creating businesses around psychedelics is service businesses, people offering psychotherapy with mushrooms,
Okay.
or um,
Like
things
integrated
like
into
that.
the
Yes,
therapeutic practice.
right. Integrating it into therapeutic practices. So I have friends that are psychiatrists, psychologists who uh, are integrating it. I have one friend who actually created an institute training therapists how to use psychedelics in their practice. And he's done very, very well because there's, thousands of therapists out there that want to learn more. And so
Right.
he holds these retreats in other states where he can do this. And, for a lot of money, you sign up and you go and you can get trained, and then you
Yeah.
can incorporate it into your practice.
So that's
But
like scale of a fashion, but in the sense of like truly scaling, if you are a dispenser of the psychedelic substance, you're right. Like you don't have the loyal fan base the way you do in cannabis, it sounds like.
I don't think so. I think that there will be mushroom brands eventually, but I don't see it as being as big a business as cannabis.
Should we put a bow on the cannabis thing and take it to the cars?
Yeah.
Or okay,
Crazy
all right,
idea. Let's do
because
it.
Yeah, yeah. But fascinating conversation, and all these things you've always wanted to know and been afraid to ask, and now you know. But
And
you have a hell
literally
of a
now we know.
garage. Yeah. Can you go through the list of what's behind you, just in total?
Sure. So I could turn this a little bit.
There
We'll
you go.
Do
start over there.
some show
So
and tell of our
what you
favorite
can't
variety.
see in the dark area is a Ferrari 458 Speciale. Then that red car is the F355 Berlinetta.
Which I fit in now, Lindsay. I fit. He took the damn
Yay!
Sparko seat out, and I fit okay. Yeah, it's a cool car.
That's all it took.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that car.
yeah. It's
I
just
drive it all the time.
inherently good.
And then there's a 1973 911 S Targa, a
Which will give me
99.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that car will give me a run for my money in my GT4. That's
So
a quick
Brian,
car.
what color is that? It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's Gemini Blue.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
And then there's a 997.2 GT3 RS,
Very nice.
a 73 Carrera RS. There's there's a 993 Carrera RS, which is the last of the air-cooled Ferrari F40, the Ultimate, Lamborghini Diablo, Porsche Carrera GT, Ferrari Dino,
Nice.
and then not pictured, I have a 1957 Porsche 356A Speedster that I am super excited to do the Colorado Grand with that car.
It's gonna be awesome.
That's fantastic. Well, and so
Yeah.
this is what color?
And then I have a couple of others that are
Yeah, I was gonna say,
project
I thought
cars.
you had a couple more.
Oh, okay. So what are the project cars?
I am building a 1976 Porsche 930 Hot Rod in ice green metallic
Awesome color.
with a 3.8 liter single air-cooled turbo motor. So it'll just make ridiculous power.
That's what
Kind
we
of
like
like
to
a
hear,
Singer
right,
Turbo
Rich?
Study,
Oh
but
yeah.
but built on a 1976 930, not a modern 964. So it'll be quite a bit more raw.
Yeah.
And then the other car I'm building is a 1970 Porsche 911 ST with
Ooh,
lightweight doors and aluminum hood and deck lid and a 4 liter normally aspirated high revving
Awesome.
air-cooled motor.
Yeah.
so this is a little bit like asking a parent to pick their favorite child, but do you have a favorite?
So the F40 is absolutely the ultimate, and that was always the end all be all dream car for me.
Yeah.
And I sold a part of my company, and that was like the punctuation of success. And to me, that car symbolizes all my success, and I absolutely love driving it. It is a riot. But that being said, the car that I jump in and drive all the time, the two cars I jump in and drive all the time are the F355 and the 73 Targa because they're so usable in the real world. And I don't mind putting miles on them, and I could take them places and I could park them. And they're just really fun and usable. And they're just a great amount of performance for the public roads. An F40 or Carrera GT, they're fun, but
Right.
they're they're harder to exploit in the real
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes more thought, I think, like you said, as opposed to being able to just like something that is high performance but suited to daily life, as opposed to like, okay, if you're going to take like the Carrera GT out, you may think like, okay, what's my route? Or it takes a little more forethought, I would
You
imagine.
you're exactly right, and it's typically a point A to point A car.
Yeah, that's
Where the 73 Targa, it's got tons of patina on it, and I'll take it to the store, I'll take it grocery shopping, I'll take it to work. I just use it as a car.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why we all got into this in the first place, right? I mean, like, I joke that my metric is like, okay, but would I take it to the market for eggs? And like, Usually it's always yes, because there's an element of
Sure.
like, do you take the Carrera GT to the market for eggs? Absolutely.
I've gone grocery shopping in the Lamborghini Diablo.
That's like,
And
I
it
love the
has
contrast.
it has a surprisingly big front trunk.
Right on, right on. Yeah.
You come out with the full cart from Costco and you're like, all right, you're about to see something amazing.
And if you follow me on Auto Blog, you'll see an article probably soon after this gets posted of me driving that Porsche Carrera GT. Brian was more than kind enough to let me drive that thing because I know what a special car that is. It was awesome.
It was a really fun time because I got to drive too, and I don't drive that car super often, and it's always a treat.
And one of the things you told me that I mentioned in the articles, I had no idea how rare those are. They built more of that Ferrari F40 behind you, just right.
That's
and
right.
a substantial amount of the Carrera GTs have been written off, right? And I think most of them, you said, were in the first couple of years after people took delivery, right? Still figuring the things out. It's a very, very special car, and it drives like a special car. It's a special experience, and I probably talk a bit too much about the clutch in the article, but these are the things that go through your mind when you're behind the wheel of a Carrera GT. And thank you again, Brian, because that was definitely a bucket list car morning for me. And we had a beautiful day. It was just beautiful, and think about that every day. So thank you again.
I mean, if it's a drive that you think about every day, like that's the ultimate, like that's the goal, right?
Yeah. Well, what's missing in the collection? What's
Or is there anything?
As a car nut, you are always thinking about other cars, right? So
Yeah.
I think a Lamborghini Miura would be just a stunning car,
Those are a family
to
favorite
have.
at my house. That's an excellent choice.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see where life takes me.
yeah.
Um, having not driven on the Grand, but been to the Colorado Grand and seeing all the old Ferraris and stuff like that. I mean, you can't help but lust after a 250 short wheelbase and things like that. Um, that's outside my budget, even though I've done really well and I have a lot of great cars. That there's levels, right? That's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always someone with something better, right? It doesn't matter what, right? If you got a Miura, those are of course known for like bright colors and all that. Is there a color that you'd want on a Miura?
There was a Verde Ithaca Miura on Bring a Trailer in 2020, and it had a bright blue interior, and
Ooh.
it wound up selling for about 900,000. And I had not bought my F40 yet,
Huh.
and I was looking at that Miura, and I love that Verde Ithaca. It's a bright green,
Yeah.
Is
but
it
I thought it
the lime green or is it a different
kind of, yeah, like a lime bright
like
green.
it's the very bright there's a
Yeah.
couple
Yeah,
in Southern California that we see.
I thought that color suited the car. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
unbelievable.
It does.
And I thought about bidding on it, but the two things that held me back was one, to my eye, it looked like the bright blue interior sort of clashed with the green, and I could have gotten over that. It was kind of cool, but I was like, I don't know, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
So that held me back. But the real reason was because I couldn't have done both, and I had to have the F40.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And I
that
was
is.
getting,
I was just say that is the peak car for many of us. I mean, that is it. That's the alpha and the omega. I mean, and you've got it.
and it honestly, it lives up to, everything everyone talks about
Yeah.
it. You know, yeah.
Which doesn't
It,
always happen. So
No.
that's like peak car enthusiast where you get the thing you've been lusting after and it lives up to your dreams and you go, it's like, yes, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No,
Have you ever,
it's such an experienced car. It takes your breath away.
That's what we
have you
love
ever
to
been
hear.
disappointed with anything that you've bought or driven that just didn't, one of those meet your heroes moments?
Of course.
Yeah.
So I had a 93 and a half Lotus Esprit, which was
Okay.
the Peter Stevens design car. And so it was the four-cylinder turbo. I didn't want the V8. I
Mhm.
wanted the four-cylinder because to me that was the lighter, more nimble, kind of the what the ethos of the car should be.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good to drive as I had hoped.
Mm.
One of the real letdowns of the car was the gearbox,
Yeah.
and people talk about that, but it had like a rubbery feel. It was vague, and when it would get hot, it would get worse.
Huh.
Oh,
And at
Huh.
the time, I had my F355 Spider, and that gearbox was amazing, and that engine was amazing, and the car handled better. It just did everything better.
Yeah.
Um, and so I wound up not keeping that Lotus. And maybe it was not the best example of that car. I don't know because it was the only one I'd ever driven.
mm,
But that car didn't live up to what I had hoped. I held on to it for a few years because it was the coolest looking thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that wedge shape.
Yeah.
they
And
have
I
some
got so
surprises.
much, it was white and
Oh,
it looked amazing. And I would get stopped. Like people would freak out about that car in public. And I got probably as much attention in that than any other car I've
really?
ever owned.
Really?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. People would go bonkers over it. They remember it from Pretty Woman.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that would be the one.
That's
Yeah.
so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could rattle
it's
off
an
a line from
icon.
Pretty Women, but it's been a minute.
Big mistake. Huge.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. There you go. You obviously have a great business mind, and I think you've probably done well with cars as investments, although I know that's not why you buy them. What should we be buying? Like, what should, I mean, you keep hearing, follow the generational stuff by the 80s, 90s cars. Is that where it's at? Or should we be picking up the stuff that's dropping in value? Like maybe some of the older stuff? Like what's the move in your eyes?
The move is always to buy what you like, buy what you love, because one, that's what you want, right? So
Yeah.
that's what you should buy. But more than that, if you're looking at it as an investment, and I kind of hate talking about cars as investments, but
Yeah.
um, if it's something that you're passionate about, the chances are other people are as well. Um, so I think the cars, and I'm probably not the only one that's talking about this, but cars from the 90s and the aughts, I think are the next big thing. Um, and like cars from like the mid 90s to like let's say the early 2010s,
Hmm.
I think are going to be recognized as a really special place where cars had enough sophistication, enough modern technology to be good cars, but not so much that they're not engaging.
Yeah.
So the current most recent cars to me are just less engaging, even though
Yeah.
their performance is amazing. Electric steering, rear steering, full of computers, just the bigness of them. They're not mechanically connected in the way the older cars were.
Yeah.
Well, if we're being really honest, cars from the 60s, 70s, and even 80s are really just not great cars. There are some exceptions,
Mm.
um, but a lot of them, if they're not modified, are like an 85 911 Porsche is really slow,
Not
in
wrong.
today's world, right?
Yeah.
They're wonderful to use and they're
Sure.
great to drive, but they don't get with it. Where
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
cars from the 90s and 2000s do,
Yeah.
but they're still connected. So that's where I think um, the market's heading. And I'll put my money where my mouth is because the car I bought most recently is a 2010 Porsche, the GT3 RS. It's the last generation of RS 911 that's a manual. The last Metzger engine. They
Mm.
sound
Yeah.
incredible. They're fast even today.
Yep.
But they're so much more connected than the car that came even after it, which is the 991, which has electric
Yeah.
steering. They lost the
Yeah.
hydraulic steering.
Right.
And 992s are so big, I think of them as SUVs almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Things
the
done
minivan
changed. Yeah.
GT3.
It's
Yeah.
boy.
so the
So
the
Brian,
car
what color did you get? GT3.
it's gray with the red accents and the red
Mm.
wheels.
Nice.
Yeah. That's good.
So years ago, when people would ask me, "Oh, what car should I get?" I was telling everybody to buy a Lamborghini Diablo when they were 100 to $150,000 for an early Diablo, and they've doubled since then. Now my pick for a car to buy today is an F355 Spider, because an F355 Spider is half the price of a coupe or a Targa. And there's no reason for that. They were the most expensive variant when new.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable car. I love the Spider. I think it's undervalued,
Yep.
especially compared to the other variants. So I think that's a car that you could buy, enjoy, and yeah, they're expensive to maintain, but not as bad as everyone thinks. And I think they'll hold their value or go up. I don't see them going down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a hell of a lot of car. They're still quick, but we're kind of like post acceleration, I feel like in 2025, right? But it's still 400 horsepower, hell of a car.
I agree, but cars still need to be fast enough. Once
Yeah.
they're in the box of fast enough, they're fun, they're great.
Yeah.
But if they're not, they're just not that fun. So like a Ferrari 308i, the fuel injected car that didn't have carbs, like they're just not that fun because they're just too slow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
a good gateway Ferrari though.
Yeah, true.
And they're stunningly beautiful.
Yeah, that's the thing. But well, shoot. All right, for those of us listening who live in the state of Colorado, what are some of your favorite roads? Where are your go-tos? Without giving too much away.
There's a road that used to be called Squaw Pass. They changed the name. It's, I think, called Mistahi.
I believe
do you
that's
know how
correct.
to pronounce the new name?
That's how I would say it. Yeah, yeah. Drove it yesterday.
Sounds like there's a story there.
So when you drive that road, it's twisty, curvy. It's not a road that really goes anywhere. And so there's almost never traffic. And then there's parts that open up and we have views of snow-capped mountains, even in the summer. And if you were just transported onto that road and you didn't know you were in the U.S. and someone said, "Oh, you're in the Swiss Alps," you'd be like, "Okay, I guess I am." It's that stunningly beautiful. So that's a favorite because it's also so close too. It's not like you got to drive hours to even get to this road. So that's a good one.
This is where I wanted to take you and Tori. Sorry for the interruption. This is where I wanted to take you and Tori while you're here for lunch. I'm like, we got 3 hours. We can do it. We can come back.
Also,
screw the pizza. It's so good.
Well, I mean, Colorado does have some amazing roads. There was a road that we ended up driving on the Kansas City to Seattle trip. It was like through a gorge outside of Vail. I'm still dreaming about that road.
Oh, Glenwood Springs. It's probably just on the I-70 even, right?
Yes.
Best stretch of interstate in the country, right, Brian? That's epic.
Gorgeous. And it was so much fun.
No, it's awesome. So if you're willing to drive further out of town, out of Denver, Independence Pass, McClure Pass, there's all these unbelievable roads. But that first road we were talking about, what's so magical is it's close.
Yeah. So you get all of the magic of these further afield roads, but close to town.
Yeah.
No, some of those further ones are even more amazing, but
I know, but they're 5 hours away for us in the Denver area, unfortunately. Yeah,
exactly.
We'll hit some of those on the Grand this year for sure. But anyway, we're at an hour. Is that a show? Have we covered everything? This has been a great show.
Covered so much.
Right? Yeah, great. And, I look forward to another drive with you and check Autoblog for the article on Brian's Carrera GT. It should be out, I think, by Monday. We'll see. Yeah, visit Starbuds if you are, I guess, in Colorado or one of the other 5 states. And you've got something else called Caviar, too, yeah?
Yeah, I do. So that's my other brand we didn't even talk about, but it's a premium cannabis product sold not just at Starbuds, but all over. It's been awesome. It's really fun talking to you. I look forward to more driving, more track days, more car stuff. It's been great.
Always more car stuff, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Brian, thank you so much. Lindsay, great to see you. Dan, wherever you are, I hope you're having a great night. Just a quick reminder to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Drop us a comment, rate, review. That really helps us in the end. And Brian Ruden, Starbuds, amazing car collection, hell of a guy. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on That Car Show.
Right.
Thank you.
And remember, always be driving.